much, Cathaoirleach Minister. Thank you, and you're very welcome. I suppose it is sad and unfortunate that we have these restrictions in place, because necessary restrictions because of the health situation and where we find ourselves, because it had been such a fantastic period of time to have full auditoriums back again. And at the end of November and start of December, I was lucky enough to attend 3 live shows over 3 weekends with full houses, demonstrating my wide taste, as Senator Malcolm Byrne will attest to, in varying degrees of music, from our own internationally acclaimed Brian Byrne from Navan and a host of music stars in the Solstice Arts Centre in Navan, to Gary Barlow live in the Point, and to Sunday Miscellany's live Christmas performance in the National Concert Hall. And the joy in people's faces at being at these live events was you know, it was fantastic to see. But what was, of course, very notable, and I don't have to say it to you or to anyone here that we're debating this, is the massive amount of employment that's generated behind all of these live events, in particular the big live shows. And the people are dependent on this for their income, not just the performers. And I think you have alluded to that in your speech as well. But that's hugely notable. And indeed, what comes under your other hat as well, in terms of tourism, the hotel industry, the hospitality that spins off from that, in particular for the big live shows in the Point. And I think that's something that I know that you're taking account of as well. There's no doubt that of all the ministers, you have been faced with one of the most challenging scenarios emanating out from COVID and the impact on the people that you represent. And I think you have tried valiantly in terms of what you did even during the summer, and making sure that performances in some way could take place in outdoor and safe outdoor spaces. And I praise you for that, in trying to demonstrate ways that it could still be functioning. The funding announced last week is hugely significant, of 50 million. And the broad range of supports in association with that you mentioned, in particular as well, talking about mental health supports for those impacted. I think that's very important, and I praise you for doing that. And I think the passion that you have for this came across in your speech. It was hugely evident, and clearly given your own background as well. But you mentioned as well busking in Grafton Street yourself in past years, and I guess that's one area that is problematic. The musicians that maybe don't fall into the schemes that have been announced. The musician who isn't performing in a ticketed event, but is only playing the small gigs, the clubs and so forth, and where they end up falling between 2 stools, and making sure that the funding is actually going to trickle down to those who need it the most, to those who are struggling, to those who don't want to find that their passion for their given artistic performance gets squeezed because they're not going to qualify. And I think those who were able to eke out a living, like, they've seen massive losses to their income over the last 22 months. And I think the fact that, you know, they are all individually self-employed people in their own right, and in that 22-month period they've seen only a very small window where they can be operational. You mentioned in terms of the supports, in terms of the business assistance schemes and the supports that were provided, which are hugely welcome. Again, I suppose it comes down to maybe the qualification for that, the demonstration of associated business costs. Again, a lot of these people are small, self-employed people, and in terms of whether they're able to get all those various documentations together as well. I think, you know, in terms of the amount of money, which is significant, I would be interested to hear from you in terms of whether you feel it is going to be sufficient to provide for all those who want to actually try and qualify. And in terms of, you've done exceptionally well in terms of acquiring that fund, but what would you like to see beyond that, and making sure that those people that you have mentioned actually do receive the support that they require? I'm sure you know it's probably a lot more. In terms of the other ways that this could be tackled, in terms of, and you mentioned it in your own speech as well, and indeed when you announced the money last week, in terms of examining how further supports can be provided to the broader events sector. I would like to hear from you in terms of how you feel that could happen. Is it liaising with other departments? Is it liaising with the Department of Social Protection to try and see, can we use other departments to actually help as well? Because I think that has to be examined as well. Minister, thanks for your presence here this evening, and we wish you well for the work that you're doing. Thank you.